Okay, good. So now that you've signed the consent form, we're going to go ahead and do the demographic survey.
Okay.
So, oops, here's the pen. You could just fill that out for me.
Okay, city of residence, it's Tennyson. County, it's in Cobb. What year were you born? Ooh.
And that is individual income, by the way. I think a lot of people got confused with that.
Okay.
It's not household, it's individual.
Oh, okay. Individual. No, it is not above. Okay.
I thought it was worded kind of strange, like, is it below? Or, like, it just said it weird. I don't know.
Right. Less than. Okay.
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 Okay, cool. So now that you've finished the demographic survey, we'll just go ahead and get started with the actual interview.
Okay.
So, how have you always lived in Cobb County?
No.
Where did you live before Cobb County?
Baltimore. The actual location?
Just like, what's your general background before you got
Baltimore.
here? Just Baltimore?
Yeah.
Did you live in North Carolina?
I did.
Oh,
yes.
yeah. I was like, I remember
Morgan was
that.
born in North Carolina.
Okay.
So, yes, we lived in North Carolina. We lived in Baltimore first, then moved to North Carolina, then moved back to Baltimore, and then here.
Gotcha. So how long have you been living here, would you say?
12 and a half years.
12 and a half years. Do you know approximately what date you moved in or what month of what year?
January of 2006.
Okay.
The approximate date, January 3rd or 4th.
Okay. How did your family end up coming down here?
My husband's job.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Is there a reason you went back and forth before coming here?
His job.
Just his job the whole time?
Different job. Yeah, different.
Was it the same job or did he move
different
jobs?
job.
Gotcha.
Got a new job.
Gotcha. But you went back to Baltimore for a different job? That's interesting.
Well, that's where I'm from. So my parents were there.
Did you meet in Baltimore?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you are a homeowner, yes?
Yes.
You do not rent your home, you own your home.
Own my home.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I just always thought that was interesting because for me personally, I was born in Connecticut, but then we came down to North Carolina and I've spent the majority of my childhood in North Carolina. So I was like, North Carolina.
What part?
Charlotte was the town that we lived in.
That's where we lived.
Oh, really?
That's where Morgan was born.
Aw.
Yeah.
Vanessa was born there too, I think. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Charlotte.
I loved living there.
I loved Charlotte too.
Yeah. It was a nice place.
I loved it.
But yeah, then before we came here, we were in South Carolina for a few years, but I didn't like that as much. No. And Georgia's alright.
I like Georgia.
Georgia's pretty good.
Yeah, I like it.
But yeah, okay. Was there a reason you guys moved to Cobb County in particular?
Schools and proximity to my husband's job at the time.
Gotcha. No other factors in general?
Schools, no, that was the biggest factor.
Did you have,
Children?
were all of your children born already when you got here?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And all of them were in school.
So, gotcha. So yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Schools must have
School
played
was
a
very
big role.
important.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So, we're going to talk a little bit about solar now.
Okay.
So, do you have rooftop solar for your house?
Do not.
Tell me why you do not have rooftop solar.
Never thought about putting it on my home.
Was it a decision that you made consciously, or you just you just hadn't thought of it before?
Haven't thought about it. The home, when we bought it, did not have them, and never thought about putting them on there.
Would you have considered moving into a house that already had solar on it?
Yes.
Okay, so you're not not against it.
No,
it
not
just
at all.
wasn't there.
It just wasn't there.
Gotcha. So would you, if it was available, would you want solar?
Sure, yes.
Tell me why you would or would not want rooftop solar.
I think I'm
Pros and cons for you.
eco-conscious, you know? So lower energy bill, just having solar, that energy that comes from the sun to power everything would be wonderful. Yeah.
Can you think of any cons?
I don't know much about it, so I guess So I don't know much about it, but will it affect if it snows or if it's icy out? Would that affect the panels themselves?
Gotcha. In terms of will they work?
Will they work? Will they work not as efficient as, I never really thought about it. So that would be one of the things I would say if it did not work properly with snow and ice, then that would be a con. But not knowing whether or not it does, I can't say.
Gotcha. Do you think it would be a problem for you to install them now, like with anything like the homeowners association or anything like that?
Yes.
You think they would be against it, or?
I think they would look into it. I think the homeowners association would look into what it looks like from the road, the location of where the panels would be, how many you would have on your home. Can you see them? Would the neighbors complain about seeing them? So the homeowners association might have some questions.
Gotcha. But if you had the option, do you think that you would install solar on your rooftop?
It would depend. I would have to do some research about it, cost-wise, and,
Gotcha.
What is the cost? What is the cost today along with future expense or future savings, I should say. So.
Would there be any non-economic barriers that would prevent you from wanting to have solar on your rooftop?
How would it look on my house? Just the, aesthetics. What would it look like? What would they look like on the house? Maintenance.
Yes.
Do you have to have someone come and maintain them? Do they have to be turned? Do they have to be, so things like that.
Okay. So, we're going to get the maps out.
Okay, let's get the maps out.
Here's a map of the U.S.
Okay.
And if you want a label on there for me, just where you think people have the most rooftop solar energy on their homes.
Do I put a check or star?
You can label it however you want. You can put words too of like whatever the area reminds you of. It's up to you how you label it. Everyone does it differently. I've had people put X's, circle areas, doesn't matter.
Okay. I'd say California would have the most. I could be wrong, but I would say California.
Do you want to, you can label however many areas you want to.
Okay. So more?
Whatever you think, it's up to you how much you label.
Okay. I would say Hawaii would have a lot. I want to say Alaska, but then people living, I don't know. I won't. Alaska doesn't get a lot of sunlight at certain times, so we will nix Alaska. And do I have a limit on the number?
No, you don't have a limit. You can label as much as you want.
So I would say Florida. Okay, between these three, I would say California, not in any particular order, would have the most.
Okay.
And I'm guessing.
Yeah, of course. Could you tell me what your reasoning was when you chose those areas?
California, I think people tend to be a little more conscious about the environment.
Okay. So,
and California gets a lot of sun. And it's very expensive to live in California. So I think people would try to cut costs, with that. Hawaii, and I would say the same with Florida, because Florida gets a lot of sun. A lot of people might have panels. Hawaii, kind of sort of the same thing with it being a lot of sun, but being so remote, I know things are expensive in Hawaii, so I can imagine the cost of electricity in Hawaii is even more so expensive. And then a lot of times people don't live necessarily in cities, they'll live out in these little towns. So getting electricity to their home might be easier to get solar panels. So,
gotcha.
That's why.
Did you have any other, do you think there's any other factors or reasonings why people might adopt solar in those areas?
Not really.
Okay. What do you think makes the people from the communities that you labeled so different from the people from our community?
I don't know. Well, again, with people in California, I think they would just be a little more eco-friendly.
Okay, as opposed to us in Georgia.
In Georgia, I don't think people in Georgia really. Some do, but on a whole, I don't think they're as eco-friendly, eco-conscious as someone in California would be. Same with Hawaii, because of the proximity of the location of the state being in the middle of the ocean, the cost of electricity and everything. I think they would be a lot more conscious of things more than we would here. Being we're not landlocked because we are peekaboo. So
they would be more conscious because of why?
In Hawaii?
Yeah.
Oh, simply because of the location.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, those are interesting places. I think like people generally label those areas, but
oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did somebody? I was thinking. I actually thought about like Colorado and Utah also because of the mountains.
Okay.
I think you tend to see a lot more solar panels. I think you're seeing them more in urban areas than you had before, but I think you tend to see them in rural areas.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So I would have, said like.
You could still put it if you want
okay.
to.
In the
It's up to you.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm good.
Okay. What's that word that you wrote next to California?
Most.
Oh, most. Gotcha. When you lived in Baltimore and North Carolina and anywhere else that you happen to live between now and Georgia, or before in Georgia, did you notice more solar in some places than others?
I did not.
Okay. Did you feel that the mindset of people were different in different places that you lived?
Oh, yeah. I definitely think the mindset of people, yeah.
In what ways?
I think certain people in certain areas are a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? Conscious of the environment than others. And people in, say, California and even in the Northeast tend to be a little more environmentally friendly than people, say, in the South, I think. And even sometimes people in the West are a little more environmentally friendly than, say, people in the Deep South.
How would you personally describe your relationship with the environment in general?
Oh, I try to be a conscious environmentalist. I recycle. I will go through the trash. My kids will throw stuff away and I'm going through the trash. This goes in the recycling bin. And I'm like, why are you digging in the trash? Don't. So I do recycle. I do drink out of, the water I drink. I have a filter, things like that. I drink the cups I drink out of are just a little more. I try to use like reusable straws and things like that. So.
Do you feel
like, since you thought about it. Since you thought about it.
Do you feel like you're more conscious than other people typically? In the state, at least?
Oh, in the state? I don't know. I don't know because I've never taken a pulse of the people in the state.
Oh, okay.
So I wouldn't want to say that I am, and then all of a sudden take a pulse of the people, and then all of a sudden they're like up here and I'm all the way down here. So I don't know.
Gotcha. Okay. Is there anything else you want to label on the U.S. map or anything?
I think I'm good.
Okay, cool. So now that you're done with the U.S. map, I'll just leave it here.
Okay.
And we're going to take a look at the map of Georgia.
Oh, wow.
People seem to have a lot of problems with this because I guess they don't know a lot about regions of Georgia. But, so the same exercise we did with the U.S. map, it's basically we're just going to be labeling where you think the people have the most rooftop solar power adoption, not adaption, in the state of Georgia.
In the state of Georgia, where do I think? Okay. So again, just put like an X and then say most or something like that?
It's up to you how you want to label it. It's
Okay.
just where you think they would have the most rooftop solar power adoption.
Okay, let's say closer to the coast. I would say the most would be closer to the coast.
Okay.
I could not tell you.
Just
Where else?
take your best guess where you think people would have it, I guess.
See, I want to say Metro Atlanta, but I don't know. I haven't
It's
seen
okay,
any.
you don't have to know.
I haven't really seen any
Yeah.
in Metro Atlanta. Driving around, I have not, so that's why I want to say, but I haven't really, and I definitely haven't seen any in Cobb County. And maybe I just wasn't looking.
Right.
So I'll just stick with the coast because I know absolutely nothing about the rest of Georgia. Something says maybe pick the North Georgia mountains,
Okay.
but nah, I'm not.
Okay.
I'll stick with just.
Although you did say you wanted to pick the mountains in Colorado.
I did. I know, but see, I think those people in Colorado might be a little more environmentally friendly than the people in North Georgia. The North Georgia mountains, I don't know. So yeah, so I'm good with that because I don't know.
Okay.
I'd rather not say than.
Gotcha.
I don't know. Opinion.
Was there a reason, like, even in Colorado that you wanted to pick the mountains in general?
I don't know. Being a little more remote.
Okay.
I don't think it matters whether or not you're in a valley or on top of a mountain. But being a little more remote in the mountains, people tend to live off the land, maybe.
Okay.
So that would be why.
But you want to resist saying that people in North Georgia would do the same?
I think they might live off the land a different kind of way.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Do you want to expand on that a little?
No.
In a different way?
I don't know the demographics. I don't know.
Okay. That's interesting, though, because you wanted to say Metro Atlanta, but since you live around the area and you know that there isn't really a lot or any here that you've seen.
No, I haven't seen any.
Yeah.
I really have not seen any. And I'm trying to think, I remember seeing some somewhere, but I don't think it was here. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't say.
But based on your, I know that you know for a fact that you don't see any here, but due to your logic and reasoning, why would you have thought that there would be some in Metro Atlanta?
Because you have a lot of transplants here. You have a lot of people who come from somewhere else, and maybe, they thought, there's a lot of growth going on here. So people are building more, and you would think, okay, so people are building more, and the houses are now becoming a lot more environmentally friendly. So more people would put them on their homes if they're building from the ground up. And so you would think that maybe they would be a lot cheaper today than they were, say, 15, 20 years ago. And with the growth, maybe that would be something that people would incorporate into their building process. But all of these new houses going up around here, I'm not seeing any. So
it's true, yeah.
I'm not seeing any. So
okay. Was there a reason? Did you just mean to label this part of the coast, or were you
Just the
referring to
coast.
all of the coast?
Just all of the coast.
Okay.
I would say closer to the coast. Yeah.
And why would you have chosen the coast?
I would say because of weather-related issues.
Okay.
You know, you tend to get a little more hurricanes in the area. Hurricanes go up the coast or whatever, can come inland also, but that area would be affected more. And with power going out, grids going down, things like that maybe people would be a lot more interested in solar energy. The sun's not going anywhere, so.
That's true. So due to more like natural disaster related weather? Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting. I don't think people have really touched on that yet. So that's very interesting
Just
to
like
hear.
people want generators or something like that, you know, you don't have to worry about it. Hopefully your solar panel won't fly away.
And what do you think makes the people from the places, or at least I guess the coast, so different from the people who live in Cobb County?
Because they're affected by the weather more.
Okay.
They're affected by hurricanes. Well, not even hurricanes, but it could be a tropical storm. It just could be winds. I think a little bit more than the people here in Cobb County.
Okay. Just like we're not affected by the same natural disaster type things?
Not as much.
Okay.
I mean, you know, a hurricane can come. We've been affected by hurricanes before, but usually we'll get our power back quickly. You know, we're in a larger metropolitan area. A lot of times those outlying coastal areas don't get their power back as quickly as a larger metropolitan area.
Okay. So are you suggesting that these places aren't as city-like?
No, I've been to Savannah, I've been to Hilton Head, and, you know, that area and everything. But some of those places can be a little more Tybee Island, a little more remote if something should happen.
Okay.
You know, trying to get into Savannah after a natural disaster can be a pain. So if something happens with the power grid, and then you have all you have all these trees falling down on power lines and everything, and you have to have the big trucks to get there. If they can't get into town, they can't get into town. So I think they would be affected more so by natural disasters than we would be here.
Gotcha. Do you think there's anything else that's different about the mindset between the people who live there versus the people who live in Cobb County?
Not really.
Anything else in terms of solar that they would have a different opinion on?
No, I don't know.
Do you think they would see different pros and cons than we would in terms of solar?
Yeah, you know what? I think it depends. You know, if someone is out there educating them on solar, then opposed to someone, because no one's ever knocked on my door to talk about solar energy. So, you know, if that's something that's big in that area, and you have more people, and you have more people doing it in that area, then I think it would make a big difference than here.
Okay. Do you think then that with more exposure to just seeing people have solar power, it would just spread better like that?
I think it could, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because people tend to ask questions once they see it.
That's true. You're right. Okay. What do you think about what most of your close friends and acquaintances here in Georgia think about solar power? Like, what do you think? Do they have solar on their roofs?
No.
Do they have a reason why?
I don't know. We've never talked about it.
Okay.
And I think most of the people I know have been in their homes for a while. So we have never ever talked about that.
Okay. Why do you personally think that they would or would not have solar on their houses?
Cost-wise, trying to convert a home to solar energy. Don't know the cost of that, you know. Most of them live in neighborhoods like this, so with their homeowners association, allow them to do it. I don't know.
Okay. Do you think they would see any non-economic barriers that would prevent them?
I guess that would be the non-economic barriers, the homeowners association. Again, the aesthetics, what does it look like? You know, things like that. Other than that, no.
Okay. My head's a little out of it today. Do you feel that your relationship with the environment influences your opinion on solar?
Oh, I think so.
So do you feel like you support it more or less because of that?
I think so, yes.
How do you personally feel about solar? Like, do you...
Well, I love it. I think it's great. I think, you know, people who do use it, I think it's wonderful.
Do you think there are certain things that would influence you to get it?
I don't know.
Like in terms of if there was more knowledge available or information available?
Yes, more knowledge available, more, yeah, definitely. More information, yes. Again, it's not something I mean, I've vaguely thought about it. Once, if I see it, I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty neat. That's a great idea. But then that's it.
Yeah.
It comes and then it goes.
Doesn't go any further.
Oh, moving on.
Gotcha.
Exactly. So, that's it.
So you don't have, like, the people you know in the state, you don't know of anyone who has solar
I
at all?
know of no one. I don't know of no one in the state of Georgia. I don't know of anyone, period, who has solar energy.
Do you have any idea why that they wouldn't even think about getting it?
Again, most of the people I know have been in their homes for a while.
Okay, so it's just due to the fact, like, this didn't come with my
Yeah.
home, so we're not going to change it.
Exactly.
Don't fix what's not broken.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. They're in now. They just don't think about it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You think that's the only reason they wouldn't have it?
I don't think that would be the only reason. I think that would be the biggest reason. But, you know, I think that's the biggest reason. Other than lack of knowledge. You know, you just don't think about it.
Yeah. Do you think that they would be more open to it if they were informed, or do you think their opinion would change after?
Oh, I think so. The people, yeah.
Do you think they would be leaning towards one way versus the other more?
I think so.
You think they would be more for it or against
favor,
it?
yes.
In favor of it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that's pretty much
Yeah.
all I wanted to know. So,
definitely.
thank you so much for coming to talk to me.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
If you have any other questions or anything, feel free to ask me. Also, do you want a copy of your consent form at all? You don't have to. Okay,
No,
cool.
I'm good.
Okay. Well, that's it.
Yay.
We're done.
That was easy.
Yeah.